Welcome back to Bible Stories 1989, where we explore the lesser-known stories of the Old Testament. Today, we delve into a story of faith, provision, and divine intervention. Join us as we journey to the time of Elijah, the prophet, and discover the incredible tale of the widow of Zarephath. Let's get started. In the days of King Ahab, a great drought struck the land, brought on by the prophet Elijah's proclamation. The people were starving, and the future looked bleak. But in the midst of this crisis, God had a plan, and it would involve a humble widow from a distant land. God instructed Elijah to go to Zarephath, a city in Sidon, where a widow would provide for him. Elijah obeyed, setting out on a journey that would lead him to a woman whose faith would be tested and ultimately rewarded. The widow of Zarephath was in a desperate situation. Her husband had died, leaving her with only a small amount of flour and oil. She was preparing her last meal, knowing that death was imminent. Little did she know that her encounter with Elijah would change everything. As Elijah approached the widow, he asked for a small amount of bread and water. The widow, in her distress, responded honestly, "As surely as the Lord your God lives, I don't have any bread, only a handful of flour in a jar, and a little olive oil in a jug. I am gathering a few sticks to take home and make a meal for myself and my son, that we may eat it and die." Elijah, filled with faith, promised the widow, "Don't be afraid. Go home and do as you have said. But first, make a small loaf of bread for me from what you have and bring it to me, and then make something for yourself and your son. For this is what the Lord, the God of Israel, says. The jar of flour will not be used up, and the jug of oil will not run dry, until the day the Lord sends rain on the land." The widow, trusting in Elijah's words, prepared the meal, and as she did, she witnessed the miracle. The jar of flour and the jug of oil did not run dry, sustaining them for many days. God's provision was real, and the widow's faith was rewarded. But the story doesn't end there. The widow's son fell ill and died, and the widow, in her grief, blamed Elijah. Yet Elijah, filled with faith, prayed to God, and the boy was restored to life. This second miracle solidified the widow's faith and her understanding of God's power and provision. This story teaches us that even in our darkest moments, God provides. It's amazing how a simple act of faith can lead to such incredible blessings. Yes, and it reminds us that God's provision is not just physical, but also emotional and spiritual. The story of Elijah and the widow of Zarephath is a powerful reminder of God's faithfulness and provision. It encourages us to trust in His promises, even in the face of seemingly insurmountable odds. Thanks for joining us on this journey through the Bible. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more inspiring stories from the Old Testament. Until next time, may your faith be strengthened and your provision assured. Goodbye.